Right, you lot, let's talk Villa. It's a back-to-back. I've just filmed the goalkeepers. We're going diving straight in. It's the chopping block and it is Aston Villa's defence. We have a lot of defenders in the club and a lot of defenders out on loan as well. We're going to be breaking down every single one and I'm going to be chopping the fat as we get ready for a Champions League campaign next year. Who stays, who goes, who gets loaned out. We'll be going through all of that good stuff. Leave your comments down below. This is a series that I really want interaction from you guys with because we are going to be doing a dream transfer window as well after all of these videos come out. Leave a like, subscribe as well for more. Let's get into Aston Villa's defenders. Who stays, who goes and then comes back after a loan period. Let's talk about all of it. So we are going to be talking about our men's team and we're kicking it off strong. I'm going to go in numerical order in terms of their squad numbers with Matty Cash, Poland's finest right back and Aston Villa's first to go, I bloody hope. Look, Matty Cash has been good for the club. He won our player of the season a couple of seasons ago. Don't know how he managed to fluke that. And I wish him all the best. I hope he gets a good move for him where he's going to be able to play more first team football. But we've been in the market for a right back for over a season now. It's been no secret that Emery wants to replace Matty Cash, and I think now is the time. He isn't getting any younger. He's in his prime, probably. He's playing for Poland. He might get into their Euro squad if they qualified. I can't remember if they did or not. I assume with Lewandowski they did. So it might be the best time to cash in. I could foresee a transfer fee of between 10 to 15 to 20 million pounds for him coming in. If we are able to get that, I think we should absolutely snap it up. And Matty Cash, unfortunately, has been chopped. Moving on, we are on to our number 3, Diego Carlos. Now, recently, there have been reports coming out that Diego Carlos is, in fact, on a list of players that Aston Villa are willing to listen to offers to. It effectively means he's been put on the transfer market, and I wouldn't be opposed to him being sold. He's 30 years of age. He has struggled with injuries over the course of his Aston Villa career, and we are now in the market for some of the premier centre-backs in the world, the likes of Koundé and Ronald Araujo. If we manage to get a transfer fee of between 20 to 30 million for Diego Carlos, with AC Milan rumoured to be interested, I'll be more than happy to take that deal, and for that reason, Diego Carlos is also on the chopping block. Now we move on to my first untouchable, and that is Ezri Konsa, one of our most important players this season, filled in at centre-back and right-back whenever he has been needed. He has been one of our premier Rolls-Royce centre-backs this season, barely dribbled past right at the top of the sort of stats for not being dribbled past and successful tackles and all that kind of good stuff. I think he got a bit tired towards the end of the season. He has been asked to do a lot for Villa this season. I feel like a fully fit, fresh Ezri Konsa that was able to rest in between cup games, etc., is one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League, and for that reason he has to stay for me. We move on to a player coming back from injury next year, and that is Tyrone Mings. I'll be honest, I would probably be open to selling him, but Emery is really, really high on him. He hasn't had a chance to perform fully under Emery. He's good on the ball. He's a left-footed centre-back that can also fill in at left-back as well. So that versatility is something that's really, really important for us next year, especially when we need to start rotating. Like I say, he hasn't had a chance. He has been an absolute legend for Villa since joining us on loan in the Championship. I'll never forget that picture of him at the train station in his full Villa kit after we got promoted. And actually, I'm going to keep him to have a chance under Emery next year. Next up, and this is a really tough one, and I'm going to lump 2 in one here, and that is Alex Moreno and Luca Digne, our 2 left-backs, both now pushing 30, both not really performed as well as they have done in the past for us. Moreno really has not been the same player since he's come back from injury. He looks slow to me, and he looks like he pulls out of challenges. Luca Digne got absolutely rinsed towards the end of the season after a strong start. And I truly believe that one of these 2 players will be sold. Luca Digne allegedly attracting interest from Saudi Arabia. I think he's probably the more likely to go, although I'd probably like to see him stay. If I had to pick one to go, it would be Moreno. Hasn't been the same since he's come back from injury. A La Liga team is always going to take him back. So if we could get, again, 10 to 15 million, again, he's not getting any younger. You know, even if we could push a team up to 20 million, it depends how good Monchi is at negotiating, or use Moreno as a swap deal, I would absolutely take that. So unfortunately for me, Moreno goes, Luca Digne stays, even if he's a backup left back. If we manage to sign a premier left back in the summer, he is the one of the 2 that I would like to stay, but I could only see him having one more season at the club. Obviously, if a Saudi Arabia team comes in with like a £30 million bid for Digne, get him gone, keep Moreno, but those 2 are both on the chopping block for me. Only one of them though, I wouldn't want to sell both. We then move on to my second untouchable in the defence, and that is Pau Torres. Absolutely brilliant season on the ball, an absolute wizard. His passing statistics and possession statistics and progression statistics have been very, very good throughout the season. I wouldn't want to see him go, so for me, he definitely has to stay. And then Callum Chambers has to go. I don't care how much money we get for him, get him gone. He shouldn't be at this club. He's not good enough for me anymore. And I hope that, I hope for him he gets a move that works. Again, we were actively trying to sell him in the January transfer window. He rejected moves. He wasn't in our Conference League squad. He's been a good servant, but see you later. Longley, we've already covered. He is going to be going. Kane Kessler-Hayden, I could see a loan for him in the future or him being sold. I don't see him being at the club next year, so he for me is on the chopping block. He's getting on now in terms of a young player. He's had unsuccessful loans at Plymouth Argyle very, very recently, and for me, his time's come to an end. We have a couple of players that we're going to talk about a little bit later on. We have Conser filling in at right back. Obviously, we're in the market for a right back. I think his time is up, unfortunately. And then Courtney Hawes, God bless his soul. He has been an absolute stalwart for us, a servant of the highest degree, an absolute professional. But the injuries, the age, the ability, all means if we can even get 500,000 for him and he goes back down to the Championship, unfortunately, his time's come to an end. But that is our first team. Let's look at possibly some players from the under-21s who could come up and our players that we have out on loan. So I'm only going to pick out two players. There's a couple of players from under-21s, Aaron O'Reilly and Frankie Ealing. I assume they're going to be staying down there. And I assume these other two players will be staying down in the under-21s, but worth talking about for first team contention, and that is Sil Swinkles and Finley Monroe. Finley Monroe obviously starting to get first team action now, a left-footed centre-back who can also play left-back. Very, very exciting. I feel like he will be more involved in the first team setup next year, especially if one of Moreno or Digne goes, so he is one for me to stay. And then Sil Swinkles, an absolute unit of a Dutch centre-back, played really, really well for under-21s. There's a lot of hype around this kid. 4 days ago, as I record this video, signed a new contract with Aston Villa, so probably one, again, that we might see promoted into the first team. And then we look at the players we have out on loan this season, and there's a couple that I think really we should talk about. Sebastian Ravan out on loan to Rotherham. I don't think his future is going to be at Aston Villa in a first team capacity, so I think he will probably be sold if the right offer comes in for him. We go a little bit further down, we have Kerr Smith at St Johnstone. A lot of hype around him. Again, hasn't really worked out for him out on loan. I could see another loan for him in the future purely because we paid a lot of money for him as a youngster, and I feel like his ceiling is probably going to be quite high, so he gets loaned out for me. We go down a little bit more here. Ben Cressine, a good start at Blackburn Rovers, but a dodgy finish. I could see him being either loaned out again or probably just slipped back into the under-21 setup, maybe until January, so they can have a bit more of a deeper look at him. I don't see him being in and around the first team. A player I do see being in and around the first team is Kosta Nedeljkovic. Has struggled with injury since going back to Red Star Belgrade on loan and barely managed any minutes. But we signed him for a lot of money for an 18-year-old right back. Again, a right back, a position that we do need to fill. And I feel like he will be our number 2 right back next year. I think that his ceiling is incredibly, incredibly high. Despite the injuries, I think he will get him back, rehab him, slot him into pre-season. And I feel like he is going to surprise a few people next year. Josh Feeney hasn't really worked for him out on loan. I could see another loan for him again next season to get some more first team experience. And then Lino Sousa, again, hasn't really worked at Plymouth Argyle, barely getting any starts this season. Again, one for the future. We signed him from the Arsenal Academy, very highly touted. I could see another loan for him because I believe we're going to bring in a big name left back, and we're going to have the backup of either a Luca Digne or an Alex Moreno. And that is the chopping block. On the screen now will be a graphic of all the players I feel like will still be at Aston Villa in and around the first team next season. And next up, we are going to be looking at our midfield options. Again, guys, this series is all leading up towards my dream transfer window, where I'll be analysing a full squad of players that I think we could be left with next season. So do like the video, subscribe to make sure that you are around for that one. Leave the notifications on so you can see when that video gets uploaded. As always, leave your comments down below as well what you think about my chopping block of our defence. Be nice to everyone, up the Villa, and I'll see you soon.